Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Week 2 Champions League predictions, and there are some absolute belters coming your way. As a shout out to all the brand new patrons of the channel on the screen. They get exclusive members tips and accumulators over there, and we have had some insane winners since just the last Premier League video alone. So if you want to be shouted out in every video, get all of these exclusive tips, and be able to message me directly on my phone through Patreon, then click the Patreon link in the description and join for just $9.99 a month. Here are the winners since the last Premier League video. We had the high odds double, Sunderland, Borussia, Dortmund, the risk averse treble, where I try and basically make it more likely. So again, Sunderland double chance, Barcelona to win, and then over 2.5 goals in that Dortmund game. The high odds treble, we had Leicester to win, Atletico Madrid to win, Forest and Brentford both teams to score. You can obviously see the scores and results that they actually ended up with as well. The high odds alternative treble to this one here, we had AZ Alkmaar to win -1 handicap. They won on a -3 handicap. Olympiacos to win to 0, and Panathinaikos and PAOK Salonika both teams to score. That ended 2-2. I decided to opt for BTTS because I thought the odds were good, as opposed to PAOK to win at the same odds, and turned out to be the right choice. And of course, the result of both teams to score double, Leicester and Atletico Madrid combined. So if you want to join this, then be sure to, it's up there, the Patreon link right there. You can type that in if you don't want to click it, and join everyone that you saw on screen. But now it is time for some Champions League predictions. We have 16 to go through. It's going to be very exciting. Kicking it off, Union Berlin up against Braga. I was unsure about this one. I was tempted to go for a 1-0 Union Berlin win, and I can definitely see that happening. But I have gone for a 1-1 draw. I think Braga might be able to just get something. My tip is going to be under 2.5 goals at 1.85. I don't usually like backing the unders. I see it as quite negative. I think it's more exciting to follow along a football game where you bet the overs, because then everything's exciting, rather than just watching a football game and hoping nothing happens. So usually I stay away from it, but I've gone for the unders here at 1.85. After this, Salzburg up against Real Sociedad. I love Salzburg. I think they're doing great things, but I also really rate Sociedad, so I've gone for a 2-2 draw. And this time, I'm back in the overs at evens, 2.0 for over 2.5 goals. And obviously, I'm going for 4 goals in this fixture. I think Salzburg, Sociedad, I think that should be an explosive matchup. I think it's going to be close. As you can see, the odds here are struggling to separate the two, so I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. After this, Manchester United up against Galatasaray. I'm going to go for a high-scoring Man United win, but I am going to say that Galatasaray can cause some problems. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win, and my tip simply is just going to be over 2.5 goals at 1.53, because I'm not certain on the Man United result. They've been a little bit up and down lately. They win some games, they lose some games. They obviously lost to PSG, they lost to Crystal Palace, so it's going to be difficult. But I am going to shade them the win at Old Trafford. The odds here I didn't really like, so I've gone for over 2.5 goals at 1.53, a little bit better than that. After that is Copenhagen up against Bayern Munich. I'm going to go for Copenhagen to score. Brilliant comeback from Copenhagen. Or was it Galatasaray? I can't remember which way around, but there was a great comeback in this game. It was 2-0 and then ended 2-2. Bayern Munich beating Manchester United when they were a little bit off the pace, which just shows how good they are. I'm going to go 4-1. My tip is Bayern Munich to win and both teams to score at 2.6. You could add Harry Kane to score anytime at 1.6. Add those two together. You'd probably get odds of like 3-4 to 1, something like that. So I would consider having a look at that, because Bayern Munich are going to win this game, and I definitely think Copenhagen can at least get on the score sheet. After this is Lens up against Arsenal. Arsenal getting a brilliant first result against PSV, a good team. I'm going to go for a comfortable 2-0 win to the Arsenal. They're looking good, although they've got some injury concerns. They're doing well to rotate. They absolutely destroyed Bournemouth at the weekend. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Arsenal. And my tips here, simply Arsenal to win at 1.61. You could definitely add that to an accumulator of sorts. Get that involved, because I think that is going to happen. I think Arsenal, they're not the Arsenal that turned up last time they were in the Champions League. They're a force to be reckoned with. They've got an easy group. Obviously, that means they'll probably get a difficult round of 16 tie. But for this game, I think Arsenal are going to get the job done. PSV against Sevilla. I actually do think that PSV are going to win this one, but my tip is not going to be the win. I'm going to go for both teams to score at 1.75 as my tip. I do like Sevilla. They gave Barcelona a tough game. They ended up losing that 1-0. But I think PSV, they can get a result at home. They need a result at home. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to PSV. My tip is both teams to score at 1.75. Napoli up against Real Madrid. If you look at the last Napoli result, they managed to beat Braga 2-1. Then Real Madrid finally getting the goal against Union Berlin right at the end. They were absolutely battering them, though. They just couldn't score. They hit the post, everything. I'm actually going to go for a Real Madrid win here. Real Madrid given slight favourites here. My tip is going to be Real Madrid draw no bet at 1.83. On the bookie I looked at recently in preparation for this video, Napoli were the slight favourites, I think. but it appears to have changed a little bit already. But Real Madrid drawn a bet at 1.83. The odds for drawn a bet are the same for both these teams. So basically they're saying they can't pick a winner, but I do think Real Madrid can get over the line. That's just what Real Madrid do. After this, Inter Milan up against Benfica. I think Inter are going to win. Light work. I think Benfica, we did tip to the patrons for Benfica to beat Porto in O Clásico, and it ended 1-0 to Benfica, so that was a nice call there. But I do think Inter Milan are going to get the win here at home, 2-1, and Inter Milan to win is my tip there. After this, Atletico Madrid up against Feyenoord. Obviously, as you saw, another huge partaking role in the winning accumulator over the weekend. Atletico Madrid with their victory and both teams to score. I'm actually going to go for the same score as that fixture. I'm going to go for 3-2 to Atletico Madrid against Feyenoord. They're getting a good result against Celtic in the first round, but I think Celtic are the weakest team in this group. I think Atletico Madrid at home are going to win, but unlike a couple of years ago when they'd win 1-0, 2-0, they're conceding goals, they're just scoring more, and Feyenoord are a free-flowing team, so they're going to score as well. So I'm going to go for both teams to score and over 2.5 goals as my tip. And the odds are very good in my opinion, 2.25. For it to just be 2-1 either way, 2-2, or something as crazy as this. After this, Royal Antwerp against Shakhtar. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Finding it difficult to separate the two teams here. So, again, 1-1 draw. My tip is both teams to score at 1.6. Celtic Lazio. I do just think Celtic, although they're good in the Scottish League, got an unbelievable win at the weekend. Scoring late to make it 1-0, then in the 95th minute conceding to make it 1-1, and then getting a 2-1 winner in the 97th. Brilliant fight, brilliant passion, but I just think the Champions League is another level. I think they'll score, but I'm going to go for 2-1 to Lazio, and I'm taking these odds. I'm being a bit risky. Lazio to win, 2.32 here. They're a better team than Celtic. Most teams in this tournament are, and I think they're going to get the win. Borussia Dortmund up against AC Milan. I was debating between what kind of score draw I could pick, to be honest. I think AC Milan could win, and even though they're the slight outsiders, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I kept it kind of relatively low scoring. A lot of my tips are involving both teams to score here today, and my tip is going to be both teams to score at 1.61. I think a lot of these fixtures lend themselves well to goals, and it doesn't stop here with Newcastle up against PSG. Newcastle, the favourites to beat PSG. I can see why, but I wonder if the occasion might just be a bit too much for them. I think PSG are a very, very good team, albeit they drew 0-0 with winless Clermont-Foot in Ligue 1 at the weekend. That was a big shock, but something tells me PSG are going to win. I think, look at Kylian Mbappe to score. I think Champions League nights, Kylian Mbappe just goes to another level. I mean, hey, there were rumours that Kylian Mbappe would be going to St. James's Park, but he'd be in black and white. He's there with PSG. Newcastle were absolutely played with by AC Milan and managed to get a 0-0 draw. I don't think they'll be so lucky against PSG. So I am going to go for 2-1. My tip is both teams to score at 1.5. I wasn't quite brave enough to press the button on PSG to win, but I get a funny feeling PSG will win this fixture. After that, RB Leipzig up against Manchester City. I'm going to go 2-1. Manchester City to win. Typically in the past, they have struggled a little bit against Leipzig. They've given them good games. Leipzig with a convincing win against Young Boys. We predicted they'd beat Young Boys 3-1. Man City, they beat Red Star Belgrade at 3-1 as well. So fairly well matched, but obviously Man City are better. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Manchester City. And my tip is Man City to win and both teams to score. After this, Red Star Belgrade, Crvena Zvezda, otherwise known, against Young Boys. And I think this is going to be a score draw as well. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I was very tempted to go for a Belgrade win, 2-1. I wouldn't bet against it, most definitely. I wouldn't back Young Boys to win this. But the tip of both teams to score at 1.61 ties into both of those results anyway, and I think that is the way to go. After this, finally, Porto up against Barcelona. I'm giving this to Barcelona 2-1. I'm not going both teams to score as my tip, though. My tip is Barcelona to win at 1.82 here. So here's a little refresher of the results. As you can see, a lot of goals. I've actually only gone for Lens out of every team out of these 32 not to score, because you look at the teams where there's a big mismatch in quality. For example, Bayern Munich, Copenhagen. Bayern Munich are a team that win with both teams to score, right? I feel like there's not much of a disparity elsewhere. A lot of the other teams are quite well matched, and they're in the Champions League. They're all teams that are capable of scoring goals. Hence why I've said that basically all of them are going to score goals. So I think it's going to be a really exciting Champions League game week for that reason. And that is going to do it for my Champions League predictions. If you want to get, like I said, exclusive tips, the best thing about Patreon is you can get direct message access to me Whereas with the YouTube memberships, you can't. Also, there's a lot of stuff going on in my personal life right now, and I'm sort of between properties. And at one of them where I stay, I don't have access to my YouTube community tab. So I can't post tips on the YouTube community tab for the members always, but I can always post from my phone on Patreon. So if you are a YouTube member, perhaps consider canceling your subscription on YouTube and just paying the same amount over on Patreon. It won't cost you any more, but you'll get an added benefit of being able to message me directly, because you can't do that on YouTube. You haven't been able to do that on YouTube for probably about 12 years or something like that. You used to be able to do it, but not for a very long time. So yeah, check out the Patreon in the description. Be sure to drop a like, leave your predictions down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.